Hi everyone, welcome back to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for joining us this Wednesday after Election Tuesday. Would like to welcome in GoLocal columnist Bob Whitcomb.
And the medication is worn off.
Here we are. The dust has just about settled. It certainly has here in Rhode Island. Let's talk about your take overall on election
No
day.
huge surprises. I think the Democrats could have done a little bit better in Washington, but it was pretty much as advertised. They take the House. Demographic changes favor them. The Senate races they lost, there were a lot of them very, very close, and they were in very, very Republican states. So I think this may presage more demographic/political changes. I mean, Florida, Arizona, Georgia, the Democrats, liberal Democrats, came very close to winning, a percentage point or two. So, and the angry older white males who comprise the core of the Trump party are not, I'm one of them, of course, are not expanding in numbers. Put it that way. They're not expanding. So.
Did you catch any of the president's press conference about an hour and a
No,
half
I heard
today?
about it. He's sort of threatening, don't ask for my tax returns, right? I will not give you my tax return.
If you don't poke the bear, we'll work very well together.
That's right. Don't poke the bear. And then Sessions inevitably. I thought maybe he'd be a little bit more courtly about it and give him to the end of the week to get out of town. Now, the interesting question there is Sessions has seen a lot of this stuff. Will Sessions, with a sense of betrayal, start blurting it out to U.S. attorneys in various places? I don't know. He's got to be bitter.
Did he sign an NDA?
Well, he's got to be bitter. He was Trump's first big supporter in the Senate, so he must feel aggrieved at some level.
So the reports are that Chief of Staff John Kelly had asked for it. He tendered his resignation and was in fact accepted.
Yeah, as my father used to say, he was resigned.
He was resigned.
Right, he was resigned.
So what do you think this has as an impact on the Mueller investigation?
Good question. He'll, obviously Trump will try to kill it because he's got a lot of stuff on him. I don't think you'll see anything about that for a little while, but the rumor has been that Mueller's going to come out with stuff this month. Now the election is over. The tradition is don't release stuff like that right before, and then we'll see what happens. I think the viewer should bear in mind that a lot of the information that Mueller has, even if Mueller is fired, it's being distributed around the country. You're aware of that? To U.S. attorneys' offices. I mean, they ultimately, report, unfortunately, to Trump, but to state attorney general's offices. So that wouldn't be the end of it. Of course, Trump would be very happy to have Mueller, blown up with a car bomb or something like that. But it won't end everything if Mueller is fired.
That is true, and I think that.
And what happens to Rosenstein, who reports to Sessions?
That's a good question as well.
Yeah.
As you said, not unexpected, the news today. You can read it on GoLocal
fast,
right now.
unexpectedly fast.
Unexpectedly fast, okay.
Yeah.
The long knives are out already.
That's right. The night of the long knives, like
So,
Hitler.
it is interesting, back to sort of the tasks at hand.
Yeah.
But you seem to think that, let's look how the president has handled, various developments in the Mueller investigation to date. Does, I believe, a lot to sort of distract from anything that's happening on that front?
What, you mean the firing of Sessions, or
and anything you can do to take the
to
attention
distract?
off of
Sure,
the
right.
investigation
and,
itself.
and I think any distraction you do. I think the central thing in all this is actually what will the economy like in a year or two. Nobody's talking about that. The cliche we repeat on this show every other week. Week as an attorney in politics, a year. When the economy goes south, then anything can happen.
Anything
can happen. It will go south. We don't know if it's next year or the year after. Rates are going up. And how they respond to that will be very interesting.
So speaking of interesting, we had former Governor Lincoln Chafee in last night, along with Val Andrews from Rick. And one of the things that Governor Chafee had said was, with everyone sort of holding serve here, incumbents getting reaelected, that in a good economy, it really worked to their advantage.
Oh, absolutely, because they get credit for the economy. And as I've written, I think Governor Raimondo and Governor Baker did good jobs. They've been pretty stable, good-humored, pragmatic, carefully innovative, but they've been cruising along in a pretty good economy. When the economy goes south, they'll be blamed for that in the same unfair way that they're being overly lauded for the economy now. These are these are world economies. You know, and of course, Rhode Island is to some extent an adjunct to the Massachusetts economy. You've been to Boston a couple of times in your life. You ever been up there a couple of times?
I've been up north.
So I mean, this is a sort of nodule in a way on Greater Boston. So you know, and when things collapse, they'll be blamed for that, as will Trump, for that matter.
So speaking of the re-election of Governor Gina Raimondo, you know, we were with her yesterday on the election circuit, and she did talk to the press and say she intends to serve out the full 4 years, but she's constantly on those short lists, and you know, everyone said let's wait to see what happens in the midterms before talking 2020. But apart from seeing what happens next with Mueller, I think that 2020 talk is going to start heating up.
I think so. Vice president, maybe vice president, maybe. So here we go with a cabinet position. But we got to obviously we need a Democratic president for that. I think she would be offered something in the national administration if the Democrats take power.
It'll be very interesting to see both 2020, you know, presidential, and then 2022 gubernatorial, because you know, term limited.
Term limit, and who comes after that? By the way, getting back to Governor Raimondo, as you know, I used to work in New York. I know a lot of people in New York, and she is. I have to give her political credit for this. She's out there. She's very well known. Of course, people on Wall Street love her.
She's
a pension reformer.
Prolific fundraiser as
She worked in that field. But you know, all depends upon what happens in 2020. I would think, at the minimum, she'd be offered a cabinet position, maybe Commerce, HHS, something like that. And I think she is ambitious, which is fine, and you know, she's young, and no major scandals that we know about, except of course for her secret meetings with ISIS in Baghdad a few years ago. But I'm not going to talk about that.
Okay, this is how rumors get started.
That's
so,
right.
Let's get a little local now, and this is actually just breaking. The release went out this morning from Don Grabian, Pawtucket Mayor, as well as James DeYost, Central Falls. The announcement was supposed to take place actually at Hasbro and Newport Avenue, took place in Pawtucket City Hall. Don Grabian, surrounded by other Pawtucket elected officials, basically calling urgently on leadership in the state, from the governor to the Commerce Corporation, to sit around the table with Hasbro executives to figure out how to keep them there. Now, he did mention potential look at incentives with Commerce, or from the assembly level, at the General Assembly level as well. So it sounds...
They're going to do what's in their corporate best. Of course, they still talk about putting the whole show in downtown Providence, right?
There's lots
near
of
RISD, designers,
But it's clearly his best interest to try to keep it in Pawtucket. But he did mention the PawSox on a number of occasions, saying we're doing sort of the same thing. But they said during the announcement today it seemed a little more proactive. It seems it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
Companies, I've never found corporations particularly empathetic
to the fate and plight
of
city
they'll say nice
finances.
things. We love Pawtucket, you know, the birthplace of the American Industrial Revolution, which it wasn't, but never mind. People keep saying that. But they're going to go where they think it's most convenient for them. Where it's most efficient, I would think Providence, because of RISD, would have something to do with it, unless they decide to move to, Alabama or something like that. But I think there's a very good chance they'll move to Providence.
It sounded like there was certainly a sense of urgency today.
Maybe even building. Maybe it's kind of wild. I don't know if this ever been suggested. Maybe they will build something in the 195 area, not just move into the Superman building. Of course, they could move into it, then it'll be torn down when they're in it.
Well, I think we're going to be finding out some more about Hasbro in short order here. But, the chips have settled politics-wise. We're going to be focused now moving forward on more policy and looking into
stuff.
Looking into 2019. Obviously, Speaker of the House Nicholas Mattiello held serve over a strong challenge.
And I think that's the end of Mr. Frias. I think that's probably it.
Not a third time's the charm.
And Mr. Fung, I don't think he's going to run again.
Well, it was a heated election season. It was a long day yesterday. And do you have a cheat sheet for what's taking place this weekend?
No, I'm going to talk about the election, but probably not overly. I'm going to talk about Amazon. It's a great scam. They're asking for all this information from all over the country, about the markets, which is great for them. Monetizable, is that a word? Data, and then they're going to move to two places, basically in the Northeast. Arlington, Virginia, right across the big money, Crystal City. And New York, right near my daughter, is terrified of all these people. And I think an example that, these are both high tax places, high tax, high services, lots of educated people around. And, people like Bezos don't want to move to Little Rock. You know, and this is just going to further strengthen the role of the coast, call it that, the coast, the money, the dynamism, the socioeconomic energies on the coast. And this is going to make that even more so. I will say, because they'll have that huge 25,000 people in New York, I think some of those people could end up here, too. I think there could be a little bit of spinoff.
We shall see. And you talk about them, as you said, courting different areas around the country.
To get data.
To get data.
Yeah, what a scam. Talking about disingenuous, is that the word? Yeah.
Finding out the market research.
Yeah,
Thanks
right.
for the market research.
Thank you very much for the free market, and they didn't pay a cent for it. 250 places? It's just insane.
And then narrowed it down, and they're just
I know. It's just brazen, just brazen. The other thing about Washington, Crystal City, of course, Jeff Bezos owns outright the Washington Post, so that's kind of handy. So you can go to editorial page meetings much more easily.
We'll see what happens with Amazon moving forward, as well as additional pieces to Bob Whitcomb's column this weekend. So mostly politics, business.
No, and I talk about a very thoughtful piece by a teacher in the New Bedford school system about how you can't make schools accountable. You can't fix them internally without fixing the wider community. That they're inextricably woven together. Just fixing trying to address issues, the lack of academic excellence within a school is not enough. And there's also something about my obsession with dedicated bus lanes in Boston, which is apparently working out very well.
Just buses.
Just buses.
Might not be a bad idea.
One other thing, carbon tax. Carbon tax went down in flames in Washington State, even though they're very greeny there and very liberal. But having said that, I think the carbon tax will win in the long run. It's market-based. It's relatively easy to impose, and it will happen. It's happening in Europe. I think you're going to see it in the U.S. A very badly written piece of referendum in Washington State.
Do you think that's the reason why it went?
Yeah, it's badly written. It was sloppy. Yeah.
Well, we'll see carbon tax moving forward.
Absolutely.
We'll see Bob's take on the elections, and you can read them on Sunday on GoLocalProf.com.
And maybe a poem. I'm not sure.
There's always poetry.
There's always poetry.
You laugh, you cry.
That's right. Doggerel.
Yeah. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be back to talk more politics here in the Navigate Credit Union